So before this movie started, we got a trigger warning, and I'm thinking to myself, how bad can this movie be? Whoa. What the fuck? Here are my immediate thoughts on Blink Twice. Hey everyone, this is Lenny here. So I just got out of Blink Twice. This is the directorial debut of Zoe Kravitz, Lenny Kravitz's daughter. And this was an experience. And this is going to be one of those movies that's going to be a conversation starter and just going to be divisive in a slew and a myriad of ways. And I'm still processing, honestly, what I witnessed or what I experienced as a film critic, as a movie lover, as a man living in the 21st century. There's a lot going on in this movie, and a lot of it, honestly, just can't be revealed. This is honestly a movie you just have to go into. I'll just try to get into kind of the main nuts and bolts of the plot and everything. So basically, Naomi Ackie plays a woman named Frida, and she's like a waitress, and she's struggling. I think she was like trying to be an actress, but there's a whole thing about status in this movie that Zoe Kravitz really plays up. And but she's at a gala with her friend Jess, played by Alia Shawkat, sorry. And yeah, they're at this gala, and at some point they're being waitresses, and then they like slip out, and then they like dress up, and then they kind of like invade the gala. And this tech billionaire, Slater King, played by Channing Tatum, is there. And they're doing like a whole philanthropy event kind of in his honor, or he kind of donated like a bunch of money. Basically, this guy, it is not explained, and again, that's something that I don't want to get into, but it's like something happened, and he was basically like canceled. And when the movie begins, there's like this interview he has, and he's like, I've gone to therapy, I've worked on it, and I've apologized, and I hope everyone forgives me. And that there's a whole thing about forgiveness, that's kind of a theme as well, along with like memory and trauma. There's just so much going on. So anyways, events kind of turn around in a way where Frida and Jess are invited by Slater King to his island. He bought a private island of his own, and they go up on his private jet. There's a bunch of other women that are there. Adria Arjona is one of them. As well. Christian Slater is on this jet. Haley Joel Osment. It's always great to see him get work. I mean, just because from The Sixth Sense, he was always awesome at that. But just awesome. It's just awesome just seeing him get work, because I just always think he's just an outstanding actor. And Gina Davis is there. They get to the island. Gina Davis is kind of like this bumbling assistant for Slater King. But they get to this island, and everything's like cool, and everyone's like partying. There's like drugs, and everyone's just kind of mellowing out, and tripping balls, and everything like that. And everything seems to be cool until Frida starts to feel that something is off about the island, or about the situation that they're in. She can't really put her finger on it, but she's like, something just isn't right. It's like, do you know what day of the week it is? And like Slater King's like, I don't know. I don't care. Aren't you having a good time? I If anyone ever asks me that question ever in my life, I don't know. That wow, that Zoe Kravitz did something really unique here with this movie when it comes to, and I guess really one of the main things I want to really touch on are kind of the gender roles that that are explored along with other themes of, and this is going to be, and I'm not going to lie, I went in not knowing what I was getting into, and I'm going to say that that trigger warning that opened the movie is there for a reason. This is a very nihilistic movie. I'll say that, and I appreciate Zoe Kravitz going for the jugular and being really bold in her storytelling. Now I'll say that there are things that that don't work. And I think it just has to do with the construction of the situation. But at the same time, I think the reality is heightened to again explore these particular themes, especially when it comes to the trauma, that especially that women, I can't even say women. I mean, just anyone encounters in a sexual nature, and that's really all I really want to say. I don't want to get any deeper in that because this is a crazy, disturbing movie. Also, at the same time, there's a dark, funny satire tone to it. It is witty in the sense of paranoia and dread that Zoe Kravitz ramps up in this movie. We see things play out in a way we're not, as the audience, we're not given bits and pieces of information that's happening in this movie. And that's by design. If I was going to give an elevator pitch, basically, I would say this is kind of like a feminist version of Get Out with a little bit of like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Yeah. Yeah. And it's really fucked up. And Zoe Kravitz wanted to make something that I think is going to make people talk about revenge, what that means, and how that is defined, forgiveness, what that means, and how is that defined, and how is that defined between abuser and abusee. Yeah, there are themes about like just general, how do you deal with certain aspects of trauma? Is it better to forget this, to forget that, or can you find it in yourself to forgive those that do you harm? There's a really powerful statement that Zoe Kravitz is trying to make. It stumbles a little bit, but man, I applaud the effort. And this is a movie that, yeah, people are going to be talking about this. Whether they're going to be pissed off, whether people are going to be like, oh, this is going to be a movie that's just all about hating men. Whether this is going to be, a movie that people are going to be like, yeah, we needed this, in terms of opening up conversations that women want to talk about, that and be told in a way that honestly, me as a man, I would not be. I don't think I would have the proper, let's just say, the proper insight. And I have, there's a lot of, and it's weird to say this when we're talking about like the film industry, because but there is an artistry with this movie, and I have to say that there are some balls. I mean, with everyone involved in this movie, there is some balls. And if I'm correct, I think Channing Tatum and Zoe Kravitz are engaged. I and how she directed him, and Channing Tatum's performance in this is, he plays Slater King as this. He starts out, he's just like really cool man, and and he's just, he's not even like a tech bro. He's just like really chill and really relaxed and really mellow. And I see the kind of like the play on words, maybe with his name, because he's like a blank slate, Slater King. And also with his name being King, there's like a whole masculinity thing in there as well. Man, this movie is crazy, but I do feel like powerful stuff too. Um, but yeah, Channing Tatum's performance, he plays this really cool dude, but there's something underneath the veneer, and something beneath his eyes, and there's a nature to how he talks to everyone, especially Naomi Aki, especially Frida, and Naomi Aki as well, is great in this. And I talked about Zendaya and her performance in Challengers, and how she was just such a multi-layered, just complex person. She was a villain, but I mean, at the same time, like she was playing 5D chess. She was a multi-layered. You could see why she made the decisions she would make, and you'd be like, yeah, she's cruel and evil and fucked up, but you get it. And at the same time, there's kind of the same play with Frida. There are themes again about like status and the cult of celebrity. There's a moment where we see Frida just like on her phone and just being completely absorbed in that, and just kind of going down that rabbit hole. Yeah. That's another thing. I'm not going to even say it. But there's a particular phrase, that yeah, when you watch the movie, and you hear it, you'll know. But yeah, this movie is crazy. There's so much stuff that happens on this island, and it's stuff that it's really, and Zoe Kravitz crafts it in a way where it's like, I mean, you're not going to be able to forget it. It's definitely a conversation starter, and at the same time, there there are bits that are genuinely entertaining. There are bits that are genuinely funny, but at the same time, it is so harrowing and disturbing at the same time that it starts out as a dark comedy and you're laughing, you're like ha 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 ha, and then it turns into like ha 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 ha, and you that and it turns into nervous laughter, and then it turns into like almost like that laughter you would get that Sally Hardesty got at the end of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and she was crazy. The one thing too, and I'm not going to spoil it, but this there's the finale, the ending of this movie, that's going to be the really the big thing that is going to be talked about. I see what Zoe Kravitz was trying to do. I'm still processing because as someone who's at first is just wanting to watch the movie and just unpacking it as the story, I'm like, okay, thematically, I sort of understand it. In terms of the culture and what the topics that we talk about today, especially in terms of gender politics and women's rights and um you know everything that has to do with again um trauma and assault, and where does everyone fit in that conversation, because it feels like Zoe Kravitz is definitely saying that everyone has a role in this conversation. Um, and at the same time, there is there's a sense of morality. Like I said, there's a nihilism, and I mean this is like I'm talking about like Ingmar Bergman nihilism, and Ingmar Bergman is the filmmaker that I would say I would have the most cinematic spiritual kinship with. The movies that he talks about, I just really understand like what he's trying to say. But a lot of what he explores, it's like a lot of like, does it matter? And Zoe Kravitz is dropping the mic here, and saying at the end here, take it what you will. Does it matter? We're gonna talk about it. Um, it's a ballsy move, man. It's a ballsy movie. Um, I last year I talked about Saltburn and said how divisive that I really love that movie, but I said, man, that movie is going to be divisive as fuck. This is going to be divisive as fuck. Um, there are bits and pieces of like Christopher Nolan's Memento. If you're a fan of that movie, there are little bits of trinkets that I think you'll really appreciate. I think Zoe Kravitz is a fan of that movie. But yeah, this was this is one of the craziest experiences I've had. If I was gonna give this a rating, holy shit. Um, yeah, I would give this a blockbuster. Um, just because it is ballsy. It is a ballsy movie. And and I appreciate I'll always appreciate anytime a filmmaker comes in and they have a very strong voice and point of view, and Zoe Kravitz came out guns blazing. You know where she's staying. She has a very strong point of view cinematically. Um, the sound design for this movie, a lot, the music as well. I just want to say, is tremendous. The sound design is off. But there's also this weird pulsating theme. There's also you can also tell that Zoe Kravitz is a fan of Stanley Kubrick. There are shots that seem to linger and hold for longer than it should, and that's kind of like a thing that Kubrick would do, especially in his later movies. You would see that especially in like The Shining and Full Metal Jacket. Yeah, this movie's making me nerd out because there's a lot to unpack, and the more that I talk about it cinematically and stylistically, the more I like it. Thematically, it, like I said, man, it's a movie that I really want to know how you feel about it, because yeah, this I'm really curious too to see how it's going to do in the box office. I don't think this movie was promoted heavily. I did see like the one trailer, and I don't think there was a second trailer that was released for this movie. But I remember when I watched it, I was like, yeah, what the fuck is this movie going to be about? But yeah, now I know. Um, Holy shit. But yeah, I recommend this movie, but I would definitely also say that with a very strong caveat. Um, if you are someone that has ever had to endure any type of assault, first off, my deepest empathy. But this I mean, yeah, this I'm not going to front. This is going to be for some people, they're not going to be able to watch this movie. They're going to be things that will happen, that they're just not going to be able to, like, I just can't do it. And I get that. People are going to be disgusted by certain things that happen in this movie, and I get that. Um I'm not going to be upset, you know, at anyone that has any type of, and I think that's the point that Zoe Kravitz is. I mean, the thing with cinematic with cinema, and especially as it being as an art form, you know, you put it out there, you put your story out there, you put your voice out there, and you just let the public consume it. And the best the best cinematic experiences are the ones that you walk out and you're just like, God damn, and you just really think about that. And this has been a pretty decent year for movies that, you know, Long Legs. I'm still thinking about that movie. Because there are things that I'm just like, holy shit. Um, but yeah, this is a powerful fucking movie. Um, yeah, definitely see it, but be warned. And if you walk away, yeah, I get it. I get it. But for those that do see the movie, I want to know how you feel. What did you think about Blink Twice? Share your thoughts. Leave your comments, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you can get notifications as well. Thanks a lot, everyone. Take care.